What do you got, any words of wisdom? What about for all the other kids trying to learn how to ride their bike? Can you say anything to them?
Everybody, I know you can believe in yourself. If you believe in yourself, you will know how to ride a bike. If you don't, you just keep practicing. You will get the hang of it, I know it. If you keep practicing, you will get the hang of it, and then you can get better and better at it as you do it.
Give me some thumbs up.
Thumbs up, everybody!
All right.
For rock and roll!
TBTL. Here's the 1-0. Swung on, there it goes. Deep left center. That ball is high. It is far. It is gone. But caught.
Hey, you either get it or you don't. I don't. But I am so excited to be a part of it.
We have an amazing relationship. We both have so much in common. We both love soup, and we love the outdoors. We love snow peas, and talking and not talking. We could not talk or talk forever and still find things to not talk about.
I don't know a lot about business, but he did an internet, and now the computers like him, and Wall Street is Google.
Hey, what do you say we both be independent together, huh?
Don't you kind of feel like a sellout?
Can you really call it a sellout when they give you a free Tesla for doing the show?
And boom goes the dynamite.
Well, all right. Hello, good morning, and welcome, everyone, to a Friday edition of TBTL.
Is this a friggin' booty call?
The show that just might be too beautiful to live. My name's Luke Burbank. I'm your host, coming to you from the Madrona Hill studio, perched high above the mighty Columbia.
Bring it back home, baby. Bring it back home.
Where we are in the final day of TBTL-a-Thon 15. Thank you for being a 10. I cannot believe it is already Friday. It is already the last day of this thing.
I can't believe I ate that whole thing.
Of course, the important work of funding TBTL is yet to be finished. And it won't be finished until everyone who is in the right spot financially and emotionally to support the show has done so. And we're hoping to do that today and through the weekend at tbtl.net.
So you got my money?
It's episode 4,248 in a collector's series.
Let the fun begin.
I was running around yesterday. After we finished up yesterday's episode, I headed up to the small maritime village of Port Townsend, Washington, to help out with the Jefferson County Land Trust fundraiser, which had been on the schedule for a long time. And I did that, and it actually went a little longer than we thought. That's how much fun we were having. And I came back down here. I got here at, 1:30 or something in the morning, and I am tired this morning.
Wow. We're just blowing through nap time, aren't we?
But I am going to get through it because this is a very important day for our show. This is the final day of the Thon. And I'm going to lean heavily on the phone calls, right? Because we're streaming on YouTube worldwide, which means you can call in 206-414-TBTL, 206-414-8285.
Ahoy, ahoy.
In fact, I may at some point, we may throw the phone lines open and I'll just go to sleep and let the callers take it away here on the final day of the Thon. That also means it's our final day to make checks notes. 1,400 bespoke TBTL friendship bracelets. I don't know. Maybe we misestimated on that a little bit.
I've made a huge mistake.
We've been doing this project to try to make these friendship bracelets for everyone who donates at any level.
Beads.
Bees?
Beads.
Beads?
But we think here at TBTL that there might be a way to take our poor planning and turn it into something truly special for the tens of listeners. So
a problem or a blessing?
We got an update on that coming up too. And we've got this guy, longest running co-bro of the show, maybe best known for his depictions of the tall ships. I know he's been having a great time down here this week, but he is also very, very ready to get back home tonight, to get back to Andy Times. I don't know what his Friday night plans are, but
I might have fireball when I go home. I'm not quite sure yet.
He's Andrew Walsh. He's joining me right now. Good morning, my friend.
Good morning, Luke. I had a thought as I walked into your studio this morning, and it was a bit of a, I will admit, a bit of a wistful thought.
Huh.
And of course, the energy's high today. I don't want to bring everybody down.
Well, speak for yourself. I feel like this is the lowest energy I've been all week, and I apologize.
I just keep saying the energy's high. I think the energy will get high if I keep saying it.
Yes.
But I was looking around and thinking, okay, one more podcast to do here. Like you said, we're streaming out to the World Wide Web.
Yeah, we are.
We've been doing it all week. This is fun. But then when we are done with the show and I get it posted, I will start wrapping up my equipment. But one aspect of that did not hit me until moments ago, which is that Bead Cam, our 24/7 eye on the jar of bracelets that we've made.
Yeah.
That's my camera and my computer. I got to tear that down too. And so Bead Cam's going to go dark for the first time since Tuesday. And I got to say, I'm going to I feel like I'm going to be slowly putting the pillow over a beloved's face.
Okay, that's, you know.
Well, maybe you don't care. Maybe you don't care about Bead Cam as much as I do. But
it's definitely, I will say.
So
like,
explain that.
You're probably I would say, as far as I can tell, the highlight of the week for you has been Bead Cam.
Oh, God,
like,
not even close.
Like, I feel like your personal jury was out on this entire project until Bead Cam got set up, and then you started peppering John and I's text chain with, you can see the light changing on Bead Cam.
Oh, yeah.
You were in your hotel room just staring at Bead Cam, watching the wind slightly blow the little piece of paper behind it. Like,
I've been enjoying watching the commentary from listeners. I guess they don't keep a whole history of it there on YouTube, but people were like kind of in the middle of the night dipping into the chat and just being like, oh, look, there are beads.
You have a strong, emotional, borderline sexual relationship with Bead Cam.
Hey, I wouldn't say borderline.
Hey, speaking of our friend John Sklarov, TBTL employee numero uno, this is a guy, and you know this if you've donated to the show, if you've interacted with John, this is a guy, he traveled out here from Minnesota. He's traveling back to Minnesota tonight because he's got big family to do this weekend, but he made time for this. There is almost nothing this guy would not do for TBTL, and we know
I
that.
might have fireball when I go home. I'm not quite sure yet.
There's almost no drop that I wouldn't play 2 times in a row. This is what I meant to say for John Sklarov.
I'd like to get you towed by 3 o'clock this afternoon with nail polish.
He's right over there, and he is going to, I think, just help us get over the line here. How are we doing on this Friday, though? I mean, as far as like our goals for the week, our hopes, our dreams, do we still have jobs? Is this show still going to be happening?
I can confidently say yes. I think we still have jobs. However,
all three of us.
Well, that's where it gets interesting.
You said you wanted to have what is a performance-based meeting? You said we might have a performance-based meeting.
Well, we're putting you
today.
on a PIP, a performance improvement plan, which I need to be on one after playing that drop. I just want to say, again, I'm not trying to like overdo this here, but I am definitely feeling a little out of it. And so I want to apologize for any miscues or misstatements or I left the mics on before the show, and I really
everybody.
let's just take a quick moment. Let's see if we can process that, and then move past it. The only way past it is through it. So we've been here now. This is the 5th show that we're doing like this, and it's a fairly complex technical setup. And Andrew, you've done such a great job with it, and I really, really mean that. Like, we're streaming on the internet. We're recording this for the podcast version of the show. There are multiple microphones. And you are so good at this, but I know that like one of your number one fears would be we are accidentally broadcasting or we are talking into hot mics.
I don't like a hot mic moment.
Nobody does, but you particularly don't like it. And we made it 4 episodes this week with no problems. And then this morning, we're sitting around here talking about some pretty controversial stuff, which I believe is an audio cable of John's that might fall into Andrew's possession.
Yes.
And So, how did you realize that was happening, Andrew? Because the startle that went through you when you realized, oh, we're actually talking and people on the internet can hear us right now was intense.
John had just flipped a switch to put the cameras live on YouTube.
So this is John's fault.
No, this was our plan. We were talking about it. I'm giving John credit for doing exactly what was supposed to be done and also for taking over that aspect of the production. I appreciate it, John. And so you went live, and as we were planning on, we turn on the cameras about 5-10 minutes before we open our microphone, supposedly.
Typically, yeah.
But then I went to check to make sure that everything looked good on YouTube. And as soon as I opened YouTube on my computer, I could hear our own voices on like a 30-second delay coming back through the headphones. And there's a long delay for the live YouTube. So by the time we realized our mistake, there were probably, like I say, at least 30. Pardon me, I'm still upset about it. 30 seconds of...
The body has an interesting way of processing the trauma.
The body keeps the score, and then it belches it out mid-sentence. The body keeps the gas until it doesn't.
Yeah, I wish it would keep it a little more.
The body should keep the gas. But anyway, so I heard my own voice coming back, and then... I write, John's mic is on, and so we killed it as fast as we could. And then I started thinking, what went out over the quote-unquote air, I'm trying to think. And I don't even mind telling people what we were talking about.
Yeah, it was so banal and so not...
Well, it wasn't banal, it was interesting.
It was so interesting
Benign.
and spicy.
It was spicy. I mean, it was two Midwestern guys being really nice to each other about a audio cable. You keep it. No, you keep it. No, I don't need it. But you should have it in case you someday need it. That's all it was. But, had we made this mistake, or I'm immediately what have we been talking about for the past half hour? And I don't mind telling the audience, before that conversation, the three of us were going over Snoop Dogg's criminal record for some reason.
Well, I said that there is there's some indication that Snoop Dogg's security detail is a pretty violent organization, and that while everybody thinks that Snoop Dogg is a national treasure, and I don't know, maybe he is. There have been some stories of his security people being really violent and rough. So that was the thing that didn't go out over the air, but now is.
And
so
I don't mind even saying that
us.
we were talking about that, but it's just this and I think that all started because you quoted a YG lyric, another West Coast rapper. Anyway, so I just had this moment of what have we been saying? I don't know what we were saying. And then realizing, it was only open for a few seconds. We were talking very kind. It wasn't even like we were fighting about a cable either. We were just being very, very kind about a cable. So no harm, no foul.
But the listeners low-keyed it, though. That's the good news. The listeners in the comment section, the viewers, so I was immediately trying to say to you, Andrew, don't worry, nothing happened. Then I look over in the comments, and it's just people basically going, hot mic, whoops. Or let's see, but there's a lot of comments going on here. But anyway,
it's a very active chat.
Yeah, and people were, boys, your sound is on. Somebody said,
people were freaking out.
Somebody said how the sausage is made. TBTL behind the scenes, and so it was any thought that maybe this wasn't going out over the air was immediately dispelled by the people in the comment section enjoying the fact that they were getting a little view behind the scenes of what goes on here on TBTL land. But what nobody's talking about, or at least what I don't think there's enough conversation around, is how, honestly, dapper us business boys look on this Friday as we all have on our official TBTL Raglan baseball jerseys. John, you had, on checking out of the hotel, you had a nice little interaction with someone there at the Comfort Inn.
Yeah, so I'm wearing my St. Paul Saints hat to kind of go with it. And as I was checking out, the person at the front desk said, you look like you're going to play baseball. And I got to say... with confidence, and felt great to say,
nice.
My company sponsors a Little League team, and that was so cool to say.
Yes, absolutely. And you do look like you really, I feel like you should, before your flight, try to see if there is a softball game going on somewhere in the greater Longview, Kelso area, and if you can kind of jump in.
I'm also wearing basketball shorts because I'm going right to the airport from here, and so I want to be super comfortable. So I definitely.
You might need to cross somebody over in in Terminal D2 or something.
Yeah,
so.
But I'm ready to play ball. Yeah.
Do you know that when I was a youngster, I was so obsessed with sports and playing sports that I would sometimes, this is not a joke, I would go to a softball field on, I think you might see on my power cord there. I would go to a softball field on a Sunday where adults were playing with my mitt and just hang out to see if maybe they needed an extra person to kind of play right field or to like. And it actually worked a couple of times.
Really?
Like,
You're kind of looking at the
I don't know if
older
they were
players
just
being
taking pity on me or what, but I would show up fully. Like, thankfully, I don't think I was in my full, like, Domino's Pizza Little League uniform, but I was like that proverbial kid with the baseball mitt. At a
punching your hand into
slingshot
the
in my back pocket.
Sure, yeah.
I'd recently been part of a Norman Rockwell type situation, just kind of like, hey, if you need anybody, let me know. I'll get out there. I'll get after it.
So these shirts we're wearing are prototypes of the gift you can get if you give it the $25 a month level. Did I get that right? Look at me. Look at me. And of course we are asking for donations, but I had a more personal question about these shirts for you guys. Wearing these, this is the first time I've ever worn a shirt.
I'm
like
proud
this,
of you,
I
Andrew.
think. Thank you.
Because you were setting it up yesterday.
I wasn't sure wasn't sure if I ordered the right size or not.
John special ordered these. These are not technically the shirts we're sending out to everyone because those are going to be ordered en masse.
Mhm.
So these are like you said, Andrew, kind of a prototype, kind of a representation of the shirt that you will be getting. But yesterday you started managing expectations, Andrew, around whether or not you were going to wear your shirt, which I respect. You have your boundaries.
Well, and I never wear T-shirts without like a collared shirt over top of them. I don't have a body that a lot of shirts flatter. In fact, this is a selling point. If this is what we're giving away,
everybody looks great, John. You look great.
This hangs on me okay, and I'm very self-conscious about these things. However, I was going to ask you guys, does wearing this shirt make you more prone to calling people champ? Or kids champ? I feel like I can see you in the airport later, John. Yeah. Just sort of like seeing a kid and being like, "Hey, champ."
My go-to is boss. Hey, boss, what's going on?
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's
okay.
Yeah, but champ could work.
I don't like a guy. Now, this is very different. But I used to work with a fella. I was in high school. I think I worked for my dad, and one of the engineers in my dad's office would call me guy. Hey, guy. I didn't like that. It seemed like a very lazy greeting.
The thing about boss is, I was there were some folks that were here working on the house, and it was the guys that were painting the house, and they were amazing. I mean, just a really great crew, and I would highly recommend them. Orlando's Painting and More, if you're in the Southern Washington area. But the Orlando, the guy in charge, would sometimes say, "Okay, I got that, boss," and I felt deeply uncomfortable
because this
being
is
referred
actually
to as boss.
Right. Yeah, if you're like the person paying the bill in that situation,
I was like, that made. I mean, I understand that it's a friendly way to interact with someone, but like, I got a lot. I was nervous about the suit I was wearing last night to this event because it's all white, and it's summertime. I like to wear a nice white linen suit in the summer, but it feels one click over from Colonel Sanders.
Sure, yeah, you got to be
and I'm
careful
like,
with that.
I've got a lot going on in my head around the dynamics in these things. So somebody calling me boss puts me personally in a place where I feel a little uncomfortable.
I really like using it if I'm like at the like a fast food counter or something, calling the cashier boss.
Now
like,
that's
like
nice. I like that. That dynamic. I feel like
Yeah.
when you're taking somebody who may be perceived to be in a different social status than you and showing them respect, I vibe with that.
Yeah.
I would like to put it out there to anybody who encounters me in the world. You don't have to. Please never call me boss.
You've called me boss a couple of times on this trip, John, and the one time you even called it out and said, "I mean that literally and figuratively." That's a true story.
I
actually don't. What is the flow chart? Is anyone the boss of this?
The org chart.
That's a real.
I think I'm the boss of.
If
both
I had
of you.
read any of the voluminous documents that we've all signed to make Too Beautiful to Biz a thing,
Somebody call Bo. Ask Bo.
I would tell you this though. I'm pleasantly surprised at how these shirts are coming off on the broadcast. I think they look very nice on all of us, and I think it's a fun way to kind of wrap the week up and give a little proof of concept to people. So if you have not had a chance to donate and you've been maybe we used to say if you're waiting for the eagle to shit. It was a much bawdier show back in the early days when I was doing it from my house and it was being held up by a stick. It had none of the professionalism that it now has. And we used to say, well, Friday is, sometimes when certain, like, I got paid today. Did you guys all get paid from your TBTB eagle shit?
Yeah.
I didn't look.
Okay. Wow. Must be nice. Yeah. You don't even know when you're getting paid?
I don't know. It all just goes into an offshore
it's a
account.
business
I don't
boy.
really. I don't really follow those things.
But usually, what happens in these, and John, you know more about this than we do as a longtime public radio fundraiser. But like, the beginning of the week is really pretty exciting and pretty active, and folks are coming in with the donations. The middle of the week can kind of be a bit of a lull, and then you get to Friday, and it's kind of like the last day. If you've been putting it off, if you've been thinking about it, this is a good day to do it. And we would love you to do that. And I feel like these shirts are encouraging people to donate and maybe get one of these shirts sent out to them.
If I can wear it without feeling embarrassed about my body, then it's going to look great on you. I can guarantee that. But I do have a request, and this is maybe getting too specific and missing the spirit of what you're saying here, Luke. But please do not pay us an eagle shit. Like, that is it's not currency that we can do anything with. I would much prefer
that's very valuable
USD.
In some countries. It's a delicacy.
Yeah, I would take USD though for this thon.
Yeah, I think U.S. Bank would reject.
I think so too. So I just wanted to clarify that.
Yeah,
so
thank
we
you,
will accept glass eels, which I've learned go for sometimes up to $2,800 a pound. My new thing is listening to New Yorker articles while I drive, and that was one of the articles I listened to.
A glass eel?
A glass eel.
Yeah, say more about that.
Okay, so Maine is one of the few states in the U.S. that actually allows legal. It's basically eel fishing, but I think that I forget the term for somebody who is an eel fisher person, but basically there are a certain number of licenses to do this in Maine. Because eel is a delicacy in places like Japan, but they've overfished it. And so the U.S. is one of the few places where eels are not on like an endangered species list. We still have some. And these certain kinds of glass eels, they will go up these rivers and then they will come back out. And I guess maybe when they're going on their way up the river, you can set out these nets. These eels, it's a very volatile price, but sometimes these eels will go for like $2,500 a pound.
And this is for eating mostly.
For eating, 100% for eating. And they keep them live. So you catch this eel or these bunch of eels, and they're little tiny things, and then they put them in these special bags with pure oxygen, water and pure oxygen in them, and they send it over to like Japan where they're going to be eaten, or China. And then they raise the eel the rest of the way there, and then they...
Wow. And there's no way to... Well, this is probably awful. I don't know how we feel about fish farming, but...
Aquaculture? I've got thoughts on it.
Okay, yeah. So, like, I'm surprised whether or not... I don't know if it's ethical or not, but I'm surprised that if this is the value of these things that people aren't finding ways to breed them.
There is. It's very expensive, the startup cost. There's one aquaculture operation in Maine that is doing this. And it's millions and millions of dollars for all of the setup. But once you do that, then yes, you do have the possibility of creating a lot of this. Aquaculture is the fastest growing segment of agriculture in the world. And aquaculture, I think, accounts for some ridiculous amount of the world's food, or at least world's protein.
Is it humane? Is it a problem?
It's not a blessing.
Yeah.
Should we
I'm guessing it's not. Although I will tell you this, my intrusive animal empathy, this shows you how
it doesn't extend to eels.
It doesn't really go to eels, which is bad because I'm completely guilty of this sort of charismatic megafauna way of thinking, which is like I you know me, I'm very concerned about the welfare of animals, and I get a lot of feelings that I don't know what to do with around animals feeling any kind of discomfort. It really hits me pretty hard. As I was hearing about what happens to these eels, I just didn't have that feeling as to if they had been any other animal. And I guess that just indicates my anti-eel sentiment. They seem honestly creepy, but most of that is just based on Flotsam and Jetsam from The Little Mermaid. Those guys were up to no good.
Speaking of charismatic megafauna, can we for a moment, I'm surprised we have not talked about this off air. Let's talk about charismatic...
Cal Raleigh.
No, I guess it's regular fauna. Today, John and I were driving from our Comfort Inn in the Jeep Willys. I'm getting all your notes about that, guys. I know it's not the Willys. In our Jeep. And then at one point, as we're sort of we're turning onto a road that is getting near your place, Luke, John makes the realization, hey, that's Luke driving in that car in front of us. And so we're behind you. And I'm wondering if you got to see the same thing that we got to see, which is a few times now as we've approached your homestead here, we have seen a black cat running on one of these little kind of side roads. They're roads, not driveways, but you would drive on them slowly like a driveway that you and your neighbors sort of share. And I've seen this cat a couple of times, and it always darts in front of or kind of when it sees our Jeep coming, it runs away and then darts into the same exact place in the bushes every time. It's like a little cat-shaped hole. I love it. John has started calling. He slows down every time. He's like, let's see if your friend is out here.
Did you see the kitten?
That's what I'm getting at. That's what I'm sorry. I grabbed your shoulder.
No, that's fine. I liked it.
That's what I'm getting at.
Just
so
human contact is something I crave.
I saw the cat once, and then John automatically started slowing down every time as if I'm a child in the back seat. He's like, well, let's see if your friend is here, Andrew. And I'm like, we're not going to see him again. And now we did see him a couple more times. And then today, John slows down.
Well, I slowed down in front of you.
Yeah,
to
that's right.
Try to really make sure we gave the cat and the kitten a wide berth.
We were calling it him. I think we can now call the cat her because we saw it with
Her?
like
It could be an active
not
father.
even this. It could be. It's not babysitting. It's called parenting.
It's
Dads.
2024.
Yeah, exactly. But I was so excited to see her grab a little, and it wasn't even it wasn't the tiniest kitten I've ever seen either. It was like a kitten, and the mom looked at us and it was scared of our vehicles the way she should be, cautious of those, and grabbed her kitten by the scruff of the neck and dragged it off the road. I want to go outside and find that cat right now and pet it.
I didn't even know that kitten existed until this morning. Yeah, so what happened was I had gone down to town to knock out a quick little jog, and then I'm driving back up, and there's this Jeep behind me, but I didn't put it together that it was you guys. And so I'm just like, okay. And then I take a left up this kind of main road, and I'm like, oh, I guess that Jeep's also going up this hill. And then I take a right on the smaller road to get down here, and I'm like, oh, okay, I guess I live in this neighborhood. It's weird. I've never seen this Jeep before. And then I literally for one moment thought, is this an undercover cop?
That's so unlike you. Like, that sounds like a story that I would tell because I tend to be like not very observant, or what, like, again, we always talk about that time you literally came up to me in a coffee shop in a hotel that we were both staying at, and I looked right at you and said something and didn't realize it was you until you told me hours later that we'd had a conversation, and I just didn't make eye contact. So I'm really surprised. Like, you've seen this Jeep. You have not been in
I
the
haven't
Jeep,
really
but
seen it from this. It was a perspective thing. I hadn't seen it in my rearview mirror behind me. It was just like, and also my mind was wandering.
Yeah.
And then I thought, because the other thing that happened this morning when I was going down to this river to do my little jog, I came around a sort of a corner. It's kind of hard to explain, but basically I came around a bend, and there was a undercover, unmarked police, like state patrol guy with his radar gun pointing right at me. Now, I wasn't speeding, so it was fine. And in fact, I think what he was pointing at was the major, like, freeway road. I just happened to kind of like go in between him and the freeway road. But it was terrifying because I was like, you see a state patrol person you're not expecting. They're in an unmarked car, and they're literally like, and I drove right past him.
And there's something about the fact that they look like guns is intimidating too.
I was getting both barrels,
Yeah.
literally, of this like radar gun. It was like, it looked almost like a handheld shotgun. Anyway, so I go past that. So that was, and then it was crazy because I did my jog, and then I came back around, and I was like, is he still going to be here? And sure enough, he was not there because he was now down the road a ways pulling over some sad sumbitch. And I thought, this is why I need to learn how on Waze to indicate when there's a hidden cop. I got to
tell others.
Yes, to tell others.
Well, we got that. We were using Google Maps on the way here, John, and you said, "Oh, we're coming into a speed trap here, right?" There was a little radar gun on the map, and the thing asked you, like, "Is the speed trap still there?" And
you actually saw that.
He was very diligent. He was like, "Do you see him? Do you see him? I don't see him anywhere." And then he said, "I don't think it's here anymore." Then you hit no on the app.
Oh, no. Never say no. Why would you say no?
Listen, this was on the drive down here from Seattle after I'd already
Okay, but just say
had
yes.
my
There's
moment of,
only a
like,
downside to saying no, which is if the speed, let's just say if the speed trap is not there, then you know what I mean? Like it's like, let's just.
You know what the downside is?
What?
Congestion and more traffic.
That's a good
People
point.
drive. I think people would drive, dangerously if they. I don't know.
My answer is always just object. Hey, boss.
Don't talk to yours that way.
Hey, boss. I've got some advice on how you do with Google. With me and Waze, and I don't know how to input any of the information. Like I don't know how to tell the wider world.
Like start the conversation.
Yeah, I don't know how to start the conversation.
You can
but I know how to end it.
You can say like yes or no. This tire is.
And my answer is always yes because I just figure. I don't know. Maybe I didn't see that object in the road, but it's worse if I say it's not there and it is, or
Yeah.
it's worse if I say the speed trap's not there and it is, or whatever. I
Yeah,
don't know.
no, you're
Also, I just not a fan of the police state, so I'm always just like everyone be on the lookout. But I did feel like I was letting down whoever this guy was. Luckily, he was in like a fancy Volvo, one of those like Volvo SUVs. I think it's called like an X9 or something. If someone is pulled over but they're in a really expensive car,
Yeah.
I feel less bad for them.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no,
totally.
I'm with you on that.
All that is
Unless
to say,
they're a donor.
yes, and if you got pulled over today on near Tally Way on 4th, whatever it is, 432, and you are a donor, I apologize that I didn't warn you about that. State Patrol guy.
We'll cover your legal costs.
All that is, Danny will get on the case, one of them.
Yes.
But my point is just that, I don't know, I had that in my mind, and this Jeep, how are we supposed to say it? How are we?
Willys.
It's Willys.
Yeah.
I don't like that. I
The
like
Jeep.
Willis.
I don't like that.
I like Willis better.
The Jeep Willys, when you're looking at it in the rearview mirror, could be an undercover cop car. First of all, it's like this one is like a enamel gray. It has these lights.
Wait, is our car gray?
Ours is black.
Okay,
Yeah, it's
well,
black.
it's black,
Okay, I was
whatever.
gonna say, like, am I really that unobservant?
No, it is black.
Okay, yeah, yeah.
Unless it's like navy.
No, I'm pretty sure it's black. Yeah. Okay.
Okay, but the headlights. Have you guys looked at the headlights? The
No.
headlights have
No.
a digital blue ring around the white of the
Like
headlight.
LED or
like an LED
like a
ring,
Rivian, sort
a
of.
little narrow strip of LED light.
I didn't know
or
that.
whatever xenon light around the main light, which has a vaguely copish vibe. So really, I had this moment of thinking like, am I being followed by an undercover Jeep cop right now? And like, really, I don't need this in my life. I'm just trying to go do this podcast and then take a nap. That's all. I'm a simple man with simple requests. And only as we continued to like every turn I took, the Jeep kept doing the same turn. I was like, oh, that's John and Andrew. That's who that is. Then I come around the bend and I see that cat, old Blackie, and I see that she's doing her thing by the side of the road, which is pretty typical. But then this kitten, and then I was like, I purposely slowed down because I wanted to get my car in between the kitten and the cat and you guys. Not that I think you're unsafe drivers, but I just wanted to be
Like, I don't want those undercover cops messing with these cats.
exactly. So I was very, I don't know why, I was very heartened to see that little kitten, even though
such a
we
great
have
scene.
we have so many. Do we use the term feral? Are we
it's
allowed
okay.
to anymore?
Yes.
Can you say anything
It's
anymore?
being used
Yeah,
in
I
the
think-
YouTube chat. That's for sure.
We have so many feral cats around here. It's part of why Bubbles has yet to move up here full time because, I mean, among a bunch of dangers to her, I just don't feel like she and those cats would get on very well because there are, and you see them walking up and down the street sometimes when we're doing the
Yeah.
show. There's like an orange one. There's that huge black one.
Oh, I haven't seen it from here. I'll keep an eye out.
There's a hole, and see that fence that's along
Yep.
the left? There is one like fence piece of fencing that's missing.
Oh, it's perfect. It's like a Heathcliff cartoon.
And when you come down the road, the cats will scurry into that
I
one
love it.
missing piece of fencing.
It really is a perfect kind of fence for that kind of scene. I love it so much. I'm gonna tell you about my plans. Speaking of the Jeep Willys,
Because you're taking that back to Seattle.
exactly.
John is decamping for Portland to
Yep.
get on a flight and get back home. We're scattering to the
We're
wind after this.
scattering.
I'm
But before
scattering
I-
to my bed after this.
Before we do that, I am going to open up the phone lines here.
Oh, nice. Okay.
206-414-8285. That's 206-414-TBTL if you want to call in. We'll take your calls and talk to you in a moment here. You might be on hold for a little bit, but that's okay. You can handle it. But yeah, so I'm going to tear down everything here. And then so John flew into Seattle. So the trip from Seattle to here was about 2.5 hours, I think, right?
Yeah, that
and
sounds
it
right.
flew by. We're two business boys chopping it up or whatever. But I kind of didn't realize until this morning. I didn't really really put myself in realizing, oh yeah, so I'm going to wrap all this up, and then I got a little solo drive by myself. I mean, you did more than that yesterday and back.
I didn't. Don't you forget it.
Yeah, but yeah, so I don't know. I guess, boy, talk about starting a sentence and not really knowing where you're going with it. Me just sort of processing what my afternoon is like. I guess I got a little road trip by myself and my equipment and the silent bead cam.
Now, I will say, and this, I don't...
What?
We've had such a good week.
What?
We've had such a good week. I don't want to end it on any kind of
What
a
are you
sour
gonna get
note.
on me?
I do think there is... I understand... Let me just preface this by saying, I understand 100% why the decisions were made that were made. But it is kind of funny that John is getting in a cab and going to Portland to fly to Seattle to fly home as you are driving by SeaTac.
It's true, but I don't think that he'd make the flight comfortably if he were relying on me driving.
It would be dicey
Tacoma.
because of Friday traffic, and that's a fair point. But there is my prediction
and I have
is
no idea how long it's going to take me to wrap this
I would
stuff
like us
up.
to synchronize our watches on this. This is my prediction. John's flight will be landing at SeaTac about the exact time that Andrew is returning the Jeep Willis. How do we say it?
I'm not returning the Jeep today. I'm returning it tomorrow.
At SeaTac again, or
I am because I have so much equipment that.
Well, as you're driving
I'm
past
going
it, how
home,
about
yeah,
this?
so I can go
Like
past.
you're gonna go. Like I'm foreseeing a world where John is in a puddle jumper. Flying over the slog, and Andrew is down in a Jeep, and you're on a parallel track going right by the airport.
But if that were the case, you'd still that would still prove our point that it would be too tight for John, because that would be John in the car with me as his connect. Oh no, I guess the flight lands and then they have to deboard it and clean it.
And switch planes because he's going back to Minnesota.
This is one of those things where. It's always like listeners are like, are you a Luke or are you an Andrew? And I'm like, I think everybody's a little bit both, because I'm like Andrew in this sense where every minute makes me nervous, and my layover is short enough that would that would terrify me, or not, because I like to be at the airport at least an hour and a half earlier, and I don't think Andrew packing up his equipment, gang me to the SeaTac would give me enough time to get through security and do all that.
It would be tight, and so I think it was the right decision out of an abundance of caution. But I just do think it's kind of funny that you're going to be driving essentially past the airport. But I know that you want to listen to your reggae music in the car, and John hates that. So this was all a plan for you to be able to control the radio in the Jeep. Is that your impression of reggae?
No, I was just thinking
Kid Rock.
What I was
or,
trying to do,
Uncle Cracker, I should say.
I was trying to make that a reference to that drop we used from The Office, where Ned Helm starts singing "Give me the what is it? Give me the beat."
Yeah,
boy.
I believe that's a Uncle Cracker song. Give me the beat, boys, and free my little old soul. I want to get lost in your rock and roll.
God, why do I hate that song so much?
Because it's not good.
Wait, what's
Is
that song
Uncle
actually called?
Cracker,
Well,
really?
I think he does a cover of it, right?
Uncle Cracker's a guy, not a band?
He does. He also does a song.
Uncle Cracker's the newish guy, but that's an old song, right?
I guess it is. It's is it the Doobie Brothers?
That's what I'm seeing.
But there's a cover of it. I feel like the re-release, and I don't know if that was actually Uncle Cracker or not. Uncle Cracker used to be Kid Rock's DJ. Is the only reason that I
Kid Rock is a DJ.
He has a DJ. Yeah, Uncle Cracker's cover of "Give Me the Beat, Boys."
Oh, geez, Louise.
And that was the song that you were singing.
Whew. All right. What do you say we take a
call.
phone call here?
God, please let this be Uncle Cracker. Please be a.
Ahoy, hoy.
Please,
Uncle Cracker,
please
you're on the line.
don't be mean to Cleveland. Hi, you're on TBTL.
Hi, this is Uncle Cracker.
Oh my God, that's so perfect.
I love your work.
Every once in a while, things just work out.
No, this is actually Nick from Tacoma.
Nick, the king of ska. How did we materialize you after a ska reference? I mean, and you don't believe in a god.
Oh well, it's maybe I could just say that it's the phone line getting all garbled up.
How are you, my friend? Long time no talk. How you been?
Oh, I've been all right. I'm currently shuffling spreadsheets at my miserable day job, but I'm thankful that I work from home so that my boss can't stop me from watching the stream. So
nice. Were you watching the Bead stream, or are you watching the TBTL live show?
I actually haven't seen the Bead stream. I've just been watching this.
Okay.
Yeah.
Have you found yourself accidentally referring to it as a spreadsheet to like somebody in a professional environment, just because of the inculcation of TBTL?
Yes, but I'm pretty sure that no one I've actually said that to noticed or
right,
got the joke.
Right. It's a kind of very minor thing. It's easy to miss in a good way, probably. So you do spreadsheet stuff now, and you don't like it. What's the plan? Are you going to just do this, for the foreseeable future, or are you trying to transition into something else?
Well, ever since I quit driving the drug ban 6 years ago, I've been working in health insurance. It's how can I say my true feelings on my job without like running the risk of this reaching my boss and getting fired?
Sure. We've already had one hot mic incident today, so maybe don't risk it. But I guess here's my question to you, Nick. When we met you those many years ago, I mean, we're talking early days of TBTL, we were fascinated by your job driving drugs around, prescription drugs, legal. Should they be legal? Who knows? But they are, and you're driving them around. Was that job more fun and more rewarding than the job you're doing now? But just like this one, the money is better, the benefits are better. Like, why did you get out of the drug van game?
Pay. That job was like I was working swing shifts, driving 200 miles a day. You know, I generally liked doing the job, but yeah, the pay was absolute garbage. Back then, I was only making about $17,000 a year.
Whoa!
But all the drugs you could eat.
Yeah. Well, I actually can't take opiates, there was actually Luke. I remember when I was talking to you on the radio about this those many years ago. I mentioned that I couldn't take opiates, that they make my throat close up, and then immediately you said, "Oh, so you're like the eunuch who guarded Cleopatra."
Oh, wow.
What a reference.
I mean, every once in a career.
It was a good joke. I liked it.
I've actually, every once in a while, pulled out an interesting fact. So you're allergic to them. I thought when you said you can't take opioids, I thought you were you're one of the many Americans who've struggled, but it's more like an allergic reaction thing.
Oh no! Back when I had my wisdom teeth taken out, I don't know, it was hydrocodone or something, and I took it, and immediately it was like, okay, why is breathing a little bit more difficult? And then it's like, okay, yeah, I'm just gonna purge and try and get it out. It was nasty, and so
really
it was
scary.
just like I wasn't gonna mess with that ever since.
It's funny that you mentioned wisdom teeth, because that for me was also I always look back on it as kind of not a fork in the road, but like I feel very fortunate that I'm not somebody for whom opioids really stimulate any kind of particular euphoria or good feeling. And obviously there are a lot of people that is what happens. And when I got my wisdom teeth pulled, they gave me whatever they gave you back in like the late 90s. And I took them, and I remember thinking that didn't seem like it was helping the pain. And also I didn't get any good vibe off of it. And I just like put them in the back of the medicine cabinet, and who knows whatever even happened to that thing of pills. But I thought, boy, I could have had a different life if when I took that, it just made something in my brain feel okay. And, I guess I feel very fortunate because like I have terrible impulse control. So I'm grateful that that's not an impulse I had to work to control. And for you, it's just your throat closes up. So that's a pretty easy way to stay away from that stuff.
Well, it was just that I don't know if it was nerves or but whatever happened, it's keeping me away from it, and I'm thankful. It's kind of like the first time if you ever smelled cigarettes, then like immediately make you retch and keep you away from smoking. But
the first time I
that
put
would be
tobacco
something that
in my mouth.
I wish that happened to me when I was 18, because quitting smoking was really difficult.
Can I ask you a health insurance related question here that is ripped out of the headlines of my own life? Here's my question. This isn't about the insurance coverage so much as about what would be charged in a situation. I've been going to the doctor a lot lately for various things, including like getting blood drawn, and I see that I have...
I want to clarify, it is Dr. Arakaki.
It is, absolutely. We're going to get things...
Dr. Acula.
My gosh. I was watching like Twilight. It's like... Is it Comet Channel or something? I was watching a bunch of, not the Twilight Zones, but the X-Files. I never watch a lot of X-Files, but like you're in a hotel room.
Hotel
like,
TV doesn't count, as we said.
So I'm like watching the X-Files last night, and then they had all these like commercials, like a lot of different commercials I'd never seen or heard before, like My Little Blue Chew or whatever, all these things.
Oh,
there was a golfer. There was a golfer.
That's like Viagra gum or something?
I guess so. And then there was
Did
one.
they give like a cute name to boner pills?
Yeah.
Like cute little Blue Chew?
It's called Blues Chews. It's got a guy named Steve.
There was one commercial, I think it was for a different product.
That is so many different types of wrong.
He was trying to golf with a floppy golf club, and he says, well, this isn't going to work. And then a lady comes in and sells him some pills and says, now try it. Anyway, here's my question for you. So I see that I'm being charged, not much, like $20 or something after insurance for some doctor-related thing, and I'm not exactly sure what it was, but it's occurred to me that I think that might be when I went to the blood lab and they failed to get blood out of me. They couldn't find a vein, and I almost passed out after like them trying for 10 minutes.
But they also couldn't execute you.
But they couldn't. But would one be charged for a failed attempt at drawing blood? That doesn't seem fair to the person who got poked a bunch but didn't actually get any blood drawn.
What I would do in that case, do you feel comfortable saying who your health insurance carrier is? Like
Costco,
Aetna, United?
Right. No, it's Fred's health insurance, I think. Are you familiar?
Crazy Larry's.
He has he's a kind of corner he works on Aurora Avenue North.
He also sells gently used computers.
No, I probably won't say what it is, but I don't even really know.
As long as it's not Aetna or United, I would just call the number on the back of your insurance card and ask them what's up with your bill.
Yeah. And I'm not again, it's $20 is what I'm not going to challenge this. This isn't like something serious, like getting a $13 charge on my garbage collection bill. You know, in a certain way, like I'm actually just asking if that is right, because let's think about it. No blood was drawn from me. So if you think of me as sort of a customer, that seems like a bad deal. But on the other hand, you still had 2 employees of a lab who were taking time trying to do their job.
Grumpily.
One of them grumpily, but then also like probably spent more time with me than they would have had it been successful. And
right.
So so I'm not even really mad about this. I was just a little bit curious. At first I was kind of like, oh, come on. You can't charge a guy for poking him 3 times and not doing it successfully, but it's not their fault totally that they couldn't find a vein. It's probably me and my dehydration.
Yeah, if they don't complete the thing, I don't think you should be charged, but whatever.
Can you call someone, Nick? You got any strings you can pull?
Can you draw my blood, Nick, in the back of the van?
Oh, no, you do not want me to hold needles or be around blood. That's why I'm not a nurse. But no, seriously, I would, if you have any doubts about it, if you've never received a bill, but you're seeing something on your EOB that your health insurance company is sending you, just call them up and ask about it. Regardless of how scrupulous a health insurance carrier may or may not be, and even the best one is, well, Donald Trump level scrupulous. Yeah, it's seeing the sausage get made for the past 6.5 years has really made me not like sausage, I guess.
Yeah.
But generally, like the best
eel?
people in any of these, I like eel. I think I mentioned this before to you that I used to live in England as a kid, and eel's pretty common over there.
It's a big deal over there, yeah.
Yeah, it's tasty. I mean, it just tastes kind of like tough fish, but no, it's good. Eel's good.
Like a fish that grew up without a father. It's kind of a little bit. It's kind of scary fish.
Or in the fens of East Anglia, I guess.
Right. I think. And what is it? Is unagi? Is that the Japanese term for it? I think. I don't know. I'm the one who listened to a 1-hour New Yorker piece about it yesterday. Well, Nick, anything else that you want to mention before we move on to other Thon-related things?
Nothing else. I just wanted to check in and say hi, and just, be safe, do good shit,
Thanks, man. It's so nice to hear from you. And Nick, you're one of the OGest of the TBTL listeners, and it's
day one, feather in my cap.
It always warms my heart when I see an email from you or see you out at a show or whatever, because it means that we haven't completely driven away all the people who used to like the show, and that means a lot. So thanks, man.
Yeah, I look forward to seeing you in Philadelphia.
Hell yeah,
wow,
dude!
Nice.
Wow. Okay, sweet. Well, we'll see you out there, brother. That's thanks for the little segue there. We are going to be in Philly September 28th. TBTL Live in Philadelphia. This is the TBTL-a-Thon, the final day of TBTL-a-Thon 15. Thank you for being a 10.
Thank you for being a 10.
And we've already talked about these handsome shirts, or some handsome shirts almost just like these. that are available at a certain level. John, what else can folks get as a thank you for supporting TBTL?
Yeah, sticking with the Junior Sluggers theme, for $10 a month, you can get the pennant that Andrew designed. It's beautiful.
It's so cool.
It's good, the yellow and blue.
Pennant
navy.
design is his passion.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
At the $15 a month level, you get the Junior Sluggers ball cap, which it's this same. So for people seeing this now on the YouTube, it's the same design, but in the hat is navy, the TBTL is yellow. And then at the $25 a month club, you get, I keep saying club.
That's fine. You know what? It's a club.
Why?
It's a club of people who like supporting TBTL at the amount of $25 a month.
Thank you.
I mean, I think that's a totally reasonable way to describe it.
Thank you for supporting me through this. So it is
Through
this
these difficult
shirt.
times.
These difficult times. It's this shirt. These are the colors people ask. It's like a navy sleeve and then the navy TBTL across the
If
front.
you're trying to picture it, like
Yeah.
I've described it often as like a raglan.
Yeah,
Kind of a raglan shirt.
That's what I hear it's called
Yeah.
too. And so these are the prototypes. They don't have it, but yours will have on the back Junior Sluggers number 10.
Oh, that's right. Ours doesn't have that,
right
does it?
because
Oh, yeah.
it is the kind of prototype. But and then if you go up to 50, if you want to be a dazzling donor, you do get all those gifts. So at each of those levels, you get that gift plus the bracelet.
But if you want 'em
fingers
all-
crossed. But if you want them all,
The bracelet, he said, with
trepidation,
a certain amount of ruefulness in his voice.
Yeah, but $50 a month is dazzling donor. You get everything, plus your customized message on air. And then if you have it in you to go up to $100 a month, you get all of that plus your special cameo style video from the two of you guys.
Yes,
That's right. Yeah.
These are some really cool thank you gifts. Last year because it was our first year as an independent show, and we had like literally $0 when we started. I mean, that's kind of crazy to think about.
Yeah.
We were in my parents' basement, surrounded by lunch boxes that at the time nobody really wanted, and the TB bank account had exactly $0 in it.
I've been doing a lot of reflecting in the weeks leading up to this Thon, because a lot of the things that we're setting up here refer back to maybe last year's Thon. And I think you might, Luke, does the listener know that this year's Thon is happening exactly 1 year and 1 week off of last year's. So we did it during July 4th week last year. This year we started on July 8th. And just like going back through old emails and looking back at my calendar from a year ago as we've been planning this stuff out, it's really hard not to take a moment to take stock of what this last year has been like. And now as I'm saying this, I don't want it to sound like we're just patting ourselves on the back, because honestly, we're patting the listeners on the back for supporting us so that we're able to do this. But
unless you don't want me to pat your back, which is fine.
Yeah, consensual patting.
I mean,
you just let me know.
Pat. It's okay. It's a business pat. But we didn't just have zero money in the bank. We had no website. We didn't know if we were going to have an RSS stream to get our show out there. We didn't know if we were going to have our archive. Like, we just didn't. We literally started with nothing a year ago.
This
and
just
we're
tells
here
you
because
how
of the
much
listeners.
we hated Carvana ads.
Yeah, exactly.
We were like, we don't know what the future holds. And you're right. You and I know you're not.
Yeah, I
bringing this
realize
up,
I turned this into a me patting.
But I know
myself
that
on the
you're
back.
not. Listen, we all know you lack the flexibility to pat yourself on the back currently, Andrew.
Even a business pat. Thank you.
What you're watching is a bad pat. Stop the tape.
Stop the tape.
But like, I mean, really and truly, you're absolutely right. Like, last year there was not only the question of could we raise enough money for this to be a job for 3 people, but could you even figure out how to get the pathways set up so that the audio got into like people like Nick's phone.
Right, exactly.
You know what I mean? And so there was
John setting up all of the systems in the back end to make this happen. Yeah. Like it's been, really smooth. Mm-hmm. I mean, I know that you've had to do a lot of stepping in and helping listeners, and everybody can email you, John at TBTL.net with any kind of issues, and you're super good at that. But that's like, Luke, like you and I haven't even really seen what happens behind the scenes, what John has to do just to get those systems in place too. So I really appreciate that.
And so last year, because of all of those unknowns, we had to really try to streamline the thank you gifts. By that I mean we didn't have the money to like create a lot of physical objects. So we had the coin, which I still think was really cool.
And there's a typo on it.
And that makes it even cooler.
Who speaks Latin anyway, though? It's like a dead language.
I think we did the coins, but that was kind of it. Well, this year, now that we have been able to sort of confirm that this works and is a thing, and that we have a certain operating budget. Now we're doing stuff, and I'm excited about the stuff. I think the stuff is really cool. These shirts are fun. The hats are really fun. People are going to ask you. I mean, I would say when you get your shirt in the mail, start at that moment preparing yourself to talk about TBTL. Because it's going to come up.
And you're going to need to think about it in advance.
And I mean, we've 15 years. I still don't know how to describe it. So if anyone comes up with a good idea, let me know. But like, the shirts are really cool. The hats are really great. The pennants are awesome. And then, of course, we got all the other digital stuff, the thank yous and the videos and everything. But I'm really happy with this. Feels like the next phase of the life of TBTL as an independent entity, which is having some cool thank you gifts to send to people. Now, maybe the coolest thank you gift of them all. It has the least monetary value, but the most kind of emotional labor went into it from us would be the TBTL friendship bracelet. That our plan has been to hand make a TBTL friendship bracelet with a little TBTL slogan on it for each and every donor at every level. And we knew that it was going to be a really tough task, and we knew that the better that the thon went, the more people that were able to donate or continue their donation going, the more of these bracelets we were going to have to make. I don't think until we all sat down on Monday night. Even though we had our kind of respective breakthroughs, we've been enjoying the process of making them. Andrew's met someone. Their name is Bead Cam. It's been going actually in certain ways better than expected, but also worse than expected in that we've made a couple hundred at this point. We got to make maybe 1,600 or something.
Yeah, what is the total that we're shooting for? 16, 17?
Yeah. I think that's a ballpark. I'll have to do the numbers afterwards, but
So
we're a little behind.
We're a little bit way behind, but we think actually that this is an opportunity for something really fun. And so this is what we're going to announce today. Sunday, July 28th, 4 p.m., the Seattle Eagles. That's right. Airy numero uno.
On Lake City Way.
That's right. We are going to be hosting a TBTL Bees party.
Beads.
Bees?
Beads?
We are going to be getting together with however many of you feel like spending an early Sunday evening with us. We will provide pizza and beads and materials, and we're all going to get together, and we're going to just knock out the last, 1,000 of these that we need to make. So we're going to have a TBTL bracelet making confab, and it's going to be at the Eagles, which is so cool too, because this Eagles is this is kind of the clubhouse for at least the Seattle contingent of TBTL life for you and Genevieve and Camaro and all those people. So that's the plan.
Yeah, I've already heard from several friends who, when I told them about this last night, they were like, "I think we'll be there too." So yeah, you can meet some of the Eagle brethren that have loomed large in this show.
Sunday, July 28th, 4 p.m., the Seattle Eagles on Lake City Way. We are going to be there. John's coming back from Minnesota. You're flying back for this?
Yeah, just 2 weeks from Sunday.
So if anybody wants to donate to cover those costs.
And I think we can knock this out as long as we have all the supplies, which we're going to have. And honestly, I feel like most of the 10s are so much better at this kind of stuff than we are. I have a feeling that we'll be able to knock this out. But we are going to try this very ambitious thing of over the course of, I don't know how many hours it's going to be, we're going to try to knock out a bunch of these bracelets. So there is a sign-up sheet.
Yes.
Because this Eagles is a fine place, which, by the way, its original life was as a quilt store.
This building.
When I was not the fraternal organization. It was a bunch of quilters who really liked drinking. No, I used to drive by when we would go to church on Lakes, and we'd be going down Lake City Way. I would go past this building, which was for quilting. Now it's the Eagles. But we do have a sign-up list because we want to kind of figure out how many people are coming, how much pizza should we order, how many people can we fit in there. So, Andrew, what's the scoop on the sign-up sheet?
So if you, it's not up on TBTL.net yet, but later today there will be a button at TBTL.net where you can click that and sign up. And also, if you're a newsletter subscriber, there will be a link in the newsletter that's going out in about an hour. I also am trying to predict some of the questions people will have. I think one will be, are kids welcome in the Eagles? And they are. There is a bar area, but this will be our crafting area will be in sort of the common area, sort of the ballroom area or whatever. You can picture it as sort of a banquet hall where you might have a wedding or something. That's where we're going to be setting up a whole bunch of tables.
But it is a 2 beer
beads.
Minimum for children.
Children must drink at least one bourbon, one shot.
Yeah, it's the George Thorogood.
Yeah. No, kids are welcome in that upstairs part. They're not welcome in the bar part for legal reasons. But so kids are welcome. I don't think dogs are welcome. People often ask that.
Well, if you have a service dog, I would imagine.
Well, sure, of course, if your dog has its papers. No, I'm not sure about that, but people often ask about that. I would probably say it's probably not a pet event, but certainly kids are welcome. And 4
You also need papers for your kid.
Yes, 4 p.m.
Get
to
him a vest.
TBD, I think. 4 p.m. until you finish making the bracelets for us is basically the time frame here.
So that's the plan. And I actually think that this is a good outcome because since we started this, and since we started talking about this, I've just seen so many comments from the tents going, will you please just send me a big bag of beads and let me help you with this?
Yeah.
And now we are going to let you help us with this, but we're all going to do it together because it'll be a fun hangout.
Yeah.
And we can get this done. And I guess I feel like we need to, even though this seems kind of silly, I feel like we should have people make the bracelets, but then they should still just go home and we
still send them.
Do we
out?
still mail them? I don't want the want the situation to be that someone has to make their own friendship bracelet and take it home. I feel like we should still mail it to them.
For a logistics standpoint, to make sure I'm tracking who's getting what, like with their other thank you gifts, I think that was my plan anyway, which might sound silly to the people making them. I think we'll probably end up having some leftover lettering and color beads after we've made the ones for the thon. So people are certainly welcome to just craft some for themselves and their friends there.
Like when I used to work for the Wedge Catering, and we would bring back, after catering a wedding or something, we'd bring back all of the serving dishes to the kitchen. But the Wedge...
slinging caps?
I was slinging caps, good memory. But that kitchen also had because it was a deli that you could go to down in this was kind of down in Montlake. You could get a sandwich there in the daytime. They had a little kind of sandwich counter. So I would go put all the dishes back, and then I would make myself my own sandwich at 11 o'clock at night. I'd be the only person in the place. It would be it would be a freaking cartoon.
Dagwood.
I mean, it would be like this.
Yeah.
I'm like a college sophomore. I have unlimited access to cold cuts and pickles. Forget about it. I would make this massive sandwich, and then I would go and I would sit in my little basement apartment and I would eat my sandwich. It was like the most fun thing. But that could be you with a bracelet. If we make enough of all the other ones, you could make your own special little thing. But all that is to say, I think we should make all the bracelets, and then John, we should ship them to you, or you take them or whatever. But then we should redistribute them to people because it's fun to get something in the mail. You know what I mean? That you as opposed to having to make your own bracelet and then just put it on and then you just leave the Eagles and you're like, well, I have this now. We want you to feel like a gift.
And I think we will ship it back to Minnesota for me then to package with the other gifts, because I don't know how I feel about going through TSA with 1,500 friendship bracelets. That's I feel like that'd be a weird.
What if we create what if we get you a suitcase with a false bottom? Just a false bottom that you can pull out. But we'll pack all of the bracelets into kind of a thick manila envelope thing and then put that in there.
Yes,
I think
that's a very good idea. I'm also wondering, now that we're talking about you, you're flying out today to go back to Minnesota and then you're coming back in 2 weeks. Can we just put them up in the Comfort Inn for 2 weeks? Just keep them here in the area?
That actually might be the smart financial decision. You know what, you guys?
A lot more taco time.
True.
I jogged past your hotel today, by the way.
Oh, really?
And I just was thinking, boy, those guys are troopers staying there. You are troopers. Next time,
it's not a spa.
I don't think we're going to be here for next year's Thon. In fact, I just want to say this. I don't want to get ahead of ourselves, but I will tell you, we've already got some plans in mind for next year's Thon, and it is going to be, I think,
if we can pull this off,
I think it's going to be our best, maybe our most intriguing Thon ever. But that being said, I was jogging along the river, and I was looking at your hotel today, and next time, if you are for some reason back down here, we've got to find another place for you all to stay.
Well, I will say this. John and I went to get lunch at that place, McMiniman's, yesterday. It's the second time we've been there. And I think that's a hotel above the restaurant.
That is some rooms. Us sitting in this room together and broadcasting out to the world is directly a result of me staying in that hotel.
Oh, that's right, because you met the person at the bar downstairs who
Well, no,
was a realtor?
but even before that,
Oh.
what happened was when the 40th anniversary of the eruption of Mount St. Helens was coming up, and we were in the teeth of the pandemic. I was still living in Bellingham. We were going to film on Mount St. Helens, the story, and I just wanted to find a hotel that was near Mount St. Helens, and I saw that there was this McMinimans that was down on the river. And I'd never heard of that little town down there. It's called Kalama. And but I was staying in that hotel. It just so happened that they had me in a room that was on the Columbia River side. And it was like an April day. We get this in the Northwest sometimes, like an April day that was just unusually warm. So it was like a warm day. I was sitting out on this balcony. I was looking at this river. And I had this thought, like, where even am I right now? Like, this is very idyllic. And I've never considered this town at all. So it was always kind of in the back of my mind. And then cut to we're here doing the show. So anyway, that place, I mean, if it's, you know, if they're running a deal or whatever, we should be putting you up there next time.
Well, that's
it's a
what
lot
I was
less
going to
soul
say. I was
crushing.
going to bring it back to how we handle our finances here, because the thing is, we're staying at a hotel that is more affordable. Obviously, there are. You know, very few. I mean, there's ice. There's free ice. There aren't a lot of like amenities. They're nice there. I don't want to make it sound
They're
like
very friendly.
they're very friendly.
They complimented the shirt.
But that's right. Yeah, but you know, my room has.
Well, they're friends of Gary.
That's right. There's a crack in the wall. You know, the shower curtain rod is about to fall out of the wall. But when we went to lunch yesterday, I was kind of looking at the windows of the hotel rooms above the restaurant.
It was weird that you were
McMiniman.
staring into people's hotel rooms.
Yes, I had your binoculars. No, I was just looking. I'm like, I'll bet you those rooms are nice. And I had this thought of just like, should we have stayed there? But the thing is, I had that thought, and I'm sure I'd have loved it. But like, it would have quadrupled at least the cost of me and John staying out here. And we ain't trying to blow the entire TBTL-a-Thon budget.
We're
this
bad
is
capitalists.
Stuff. Yeah, and so listen, I'm not trying to make it sound like we're martyrs. I feel like everything I start to say today ends up with us patting ourselves on the back in some way. But I just really do want people to know that we are very conscientious of how we're spending money around here. We're not flagrant.
Yeah.
No.
I think you guys were when we were with APM, which I
absolutely was.
I wasn't then.
That was, I know, and that made me...
I actually have regret about that. I should have spent more of their damn money.
That was where...
I'm not even joking.
I don't think you are, and I don't want to say I wasn't angry because it didn't affect me. I was perplexed, Andrew, because my thought was... We do a lot for this company. We redirect a significant amount of like the TBTL resources back into APM in general. And I for one was like, I'm not going to stay in a hotel that like you know, makes me feel sad every time I go back, or I'm not going to stay in a hotel with live ducks in the lobby. Although you loved that place.
I kind of like that place. That place had a little bit of, it had some quirky charm to it. That place was nice. It had sweets. Anyway, I don't want to get...
I
appreciate
appreciate you and John are very, very careful with the TBTB money. I am not allowed to have access to it. And so it works out. The people that do have access to it are very responsible with it. And the person who wouldn't be responsible doesn't know any of the passwords.
That's true. You literally don't know where your card is.
No, and it makes John... The only time I've ever seen John look at me... I mean, I'm sure this happens a lot when I'm not in the same room as you, but the most withering you've ever looked at me was earlier this week when we needed to buy a Cat 9 cable for the broadcast. We needed an Ethernet cable.
It was a cat of nine tails.
Well, that's in my different Amazon account that I use. We were buying this Ethernet cable to do the broadcast this week, and I did buy it on Amazon. And I said, okay, well, that's purchased. And John said, did you use your company card? And I said, I don't even have a company card. And you were so like...
You said it in a way that the tone of your voice, Luke, was basically... I want to be definitive because I feel like you've sort of danced around this. By the way, we have a caller who's been on hold for a little bit. We'll go to you in a moment. Thanks for hanging on. But I feel like in the past you've sort of like hedged. You've been like, well, I don't know where the card is right now, or I haven't activated my card, and then you just kind of been. And then this was the first time it felt like you just wanted to. Honestly, because I wasn't even part of this conversation. I was just observing.
But you remember it.
I remember you just said it in this way of, can I just tear the Band-Aid off of this thing? And you just said in a pretty kind of short way, listen, I don't know where my card is. I don't have a card. It's gone. I just use my regular card. nice
He
message.
did say it much nicer than that. But
He
that,
said it kind of nice, but in a very definitive way,
yeah,
just like,
yeah.
I don't want to dance
Stop
around this
asking.
anymore. Let's like the card.
I was just
get the
pulling
idea.
a Joe Biden. Let's move on.
Exactly.
Conversation is over.
Let's move on. And John said, but does Kamala have a card? And we're just like, that is
God.
not where the conversation is supposed to be going this morning.
Yeah.
Now, hold on one second. I do have some kind of TBTB card over here by Beadcam.
Don't put it on the camera. That's
No, I was going to just get it out and ask you, John,
Okay.
if it's the
Okay,
right card.
you do that. Can
Yeah.
I take this phone call
I
while
thought
you do
you
that?
were
We're
like
not going
flash
to
the
have
numbers on the camera.
We're not going to have the ahoy hoy. So I'll just say ahoy hoy here and welcome this person from the 541 on the show. Who we talking with?
Hey, y'all. This is Cheryl in Corvallis.
Cheryl.
Hey.
How's it going? This is Cheryl in
Hey,
Corvallis,
doing-
Luke.
Hey, Cheryl.
Hey, doing great. I am really excited to hear that you are doing this, the bead thing with the help of the tens, because that is just the kind of community that it just epitomizes what TBTL has been for me, and I'm so excited for that.
I mean, it is classic TBTL that we are both soliciting donations and then also soliciting people to make the thing that we're offering as a thank you for the donations. And you are going along with it. In fact, you're excited about it. So that's really on brand.
Well, there were so many people on the chat or on Slack saying, hey, the guys, we're worried about the guys. We don't want Andrew to hurt his hands. This is a lot of stress for them. Let's, we can all make our own bracelets. I mean, there's just so much, support for you guys.
I know.
So I love this. And what's really funny is that there's already a Crafty Tens Zoom meetup planned by a 10
Oh, that's
on
perfect.
that same day.
Oh, really?
I don't know if it will, become a collab or something, but for those who can't be at the Eagles on July 28th from 1 to 4, it looks like Amanda Patton Wilhelm, I think she goes by UW Mandy on Slack. Yeah, she is organizing that for the Crafty Tens group.
That's it. Was that sort of inspired by our craft Zoom nights? Look at me. I'm just like swooping in and trying to take credit for this. But was it because we weren't able to kind of chat with everybody who was on the Zoom night call? Kind of an extension of that.
To be honest, I think this got started a little bit before that, but definitely picked up momentum, and they definitely wanted to plan it just to be. Oh, geez, I see Luke with the card on the. I don't know if my audio is behind my video, but I just saw Luke with the card on the.
You can see it?
Don't put that up there.
I didn't even know you guys could see the table.
I think there's a delay, and Cheryl's seeing the other card that you had a moment ago. When
that was just my personal one.
Yeah, it turns out.
Just so you know, Cheryl,
use that.
That's fine. Go ahead and steal that one. I literally went over to the thing, grabbed a card, held it up for John, and John shook his head. No, that's not even associated with TBTB.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. So anyway, no, this is I think separate, but I think it's going to be great for those folks who are on the YouTube chat and are saying they're so jealous they can't make it to the Eagles if they're not in the area or can't make it in. It's just going to be a great alternative option. So if you're not on the Crafty Tens and you want to be in there, get in there on the Facebook group.
Nice.
Right.
And who knows, we may still be making bracelets in Philly.
We may need people to make T-shirts. We may need people to make hats. We may need people to make pennants.
I might need someone to host TBTL Live in Philly.
Exactly.
September 28th.
I did take a silk screening class briefly in home ec or some arts and crafts thing in high school. So, we might be able to get in there with the T-shirt making.
Cheryl, I'm glad you called in because I actually was thinking about you yesterday, and I owe you an apology. This is actually kind of perfect, and this is also related to something that I wanted to tell Luke regarding TBTL programming. On the podcast at some point in the past month or so, I put a call out for callers to leave messages in our voicemail line on a very specific topic. And as often happens, it was an idea in the moment while we were recording, and I completely forgot about it. Mm-hmm. And then I wasn't being a good business boy and checking the voicemail line. And yesterday I was in the the Comfort Inn, and I had a little extra time on my hand, and I went back and I started listening to some old voicemails from early to mid-June that I had not checked. And the first one I heard was from you, Cheryl, and it was singing the song that you sometimes sing to your pet bird.
Aww.
And you said, you asked for these things. And then I listened to the next 10 voicemails on the line. It was all listeners. I don't know if you recall this, Luke.
Oh, I must have. Did I ask people to share with us the
did.
crazy? You did the crazy stuff that we all say to our pets.
Yes,
sing to our pets.
Somebody called in. I don't know, prompted by what, and they sang us the song that they sing to their cats or something. And I said, "Hey, why doesn't everybody do that? Leave us a voicemail." And then I forgot, and I never checked it. And we have a grip full of people, including Cheryl, singing the songs on the voicemail line that they sing for their
Cheryl,
pets.
if we do decide to play that, how do you feel about it? I just heard you kind of groan. Would you like us to not play that?
No, I mean, hey, you know what? There's a disclaimer on that voicemail line.
Well, yeah, but we're not gonna hold you to that if you were like if that was just a moment of weakness.
So
no, I think I'm okay with it as long as Andrew deems that I was generally in tune.
Yeah, and in fact, I put a reggae beat behind it. No, I thought it was really sweet, and I just kept listening to one after the other, and like all these listeners from around the country, and so we're gonna build. Luke doesn't know this yet. We're going to build a whole show around this. I think we're going to do a special episode of TBTL maybe this fall, maybe during the summer games or something, or fall games or winter games, whatever the heck we call them, where we can really shine a spotlight on all these because it's really, really adorable, including the one. What is your bird's name again, Cheryl?
His name is Tito.
Tito, yes, we've met Tito.
Also, I see Anna L.A. saying that she sent in a song and was so sad that we didn't play it. So,
oh yeah, that's totally on me, Anna. Sorry about that.
That's
but
good.
I have yours. I heard it.
It's all going to get played. So that's really awesome. Well, Cheryl, thank you for calling in. Thank you for being part of the TBTL world. We really appreciate you down there in Corvallis.
Hey, no problem, you guys. Good luck with the rest of the thon here. I know we're right at the end. Take care.
Thank you. Thank you for everything.
There's the famous Cheryl in Corvallis.
That's right. One time when we were at APM, one of our bosses took over sort of editing responsibilities for our TBTL newsletter. And it's kind of funny. The newsletter just sort of has a voice of its own, sort of. And it's a lot of, obviously, TBTL has a lot of inside jokes and just references that we all just get because we're all part of this weird-ass cult, right? And, of course, Cheryl in Corvallis is well-known in the community. And the person who I was working with at APM, who, by the way, I really like, she was a boss of ours for a while. We had, like, so many different bosses, and she was kind of our boss. But she also was a former, like, actual editor, like, in some sort of journalistic sense. And it was a weird fit when she would edit. I'd send her my newsletter just for, like, a second set of eyes on it, make sure all the links work and everything. But she was applying sort of like Marketplace, the radio show, like Marketplace-esque standards of editing on the newsletter.
Yeah. And also,
which was strange.
And also, I really liked her as a supervisor. I thought she was one of the
great.
better supervisors we had. Her and El Ropo were a couple of good ones.
Yes.
But she was not somebody who had been, marinating in TBTL lore for years and years. She had listened to some of it probably as a professional responsibility, but her interpretation of like whatever this is was kind of interesting, right?
And so sometimes she'd put edits in there, like I don't know if this is an exact example, but like if I were to write the word spreadsheet, I would leave the T off of it because it's an inside joke, spreadsheet. And sometimes I would like put in the notes like, oh, leave this. There's a reason I'm doing it. Or if she would correct it, I'd say, hey, the reason I'm not accepting your change on this document is there's a reason for that. All of this is to say, and this is not a great power out, but it's an out. Is I'll never forget when I referred in the email to Cheryl in Corvallis, and then I got the edits back, and it said Cheryl in Corvallis, Oregon. And I remember just thinking, I'm not even explaining why I'm not accepting this edit change. Like, it's Cheryl in Corvallis.
That's right.
We know Cheryl in Corvallis. That's the brand. It's not Cheryl in Corvallis, OR.
No, we don't. If you need a clarification on the state that Cheryl is in, I mean, I don't even know where we begin.
Exactly.
With this whole project.
Sorry for that story. That was a long one.
So just to reiterate, it's a bad idea to hold your actual debit card up on the air on a live stream.
Did
but
people
I do
see it?
But I do think we can trust these. If there's, I don't know how many people are watching this. Is there like 50 people or 100 people or something watching?
But it lives in perpetuity after the fact.
Oh, please don't put this on the dark web.
Do people actually think that they actually saw it? I don't think you
can see it. And also, honestly, I don't think there's any money in that account. I've often said I'm the only person that if you stole my identity, my credit would improve. Oh, this is, you want to, as we wrap the show up, should we just end on a complete tangent? Because
Okay,
that's
no
the
more
TBTL
calls. I'm
way.
going to turn off the phone line here.
Yeah, I think we should. I think Cheryl
Cheryl,
Corvallis
power out.
is
Thanks,
a
Cheryl.
very worthy person to wrap up the call portion of the week.
Corvallis, Oregon.
Oh, you're 100%. It's not Corvallis, Texas. You know there's a Corvallis, Texas. They love that shit in Texas. There's a Seattle, Texas. There's a Kalama, Texas. This is so apropos of nothing, but I do think it's kind of funny. So I was driving up to Port Townsend last night, and I've been making this trip a lot recently because I was also going up to my folks' house last week for my dad's 70th, and you take the sort of exact same route, and they are having monster trucks at the Kitsap County Fairgrounds, and they've got all these big signs. But what's really funny is, I did that TV story about Gravedigger, and I got to kind of like drive Gravedigger and stuff like that. So I'm pretty tuned into the story of the regular monster trucks versus something called Monster Jam. Because, this entertainment company called Feld Entertainment, they also do like Disney on Ice and all that stuff. They bought the rights to a bunch of these monster trucks, and the kind of the prize one was this thing called Gravedigger. So they're the only ones that are allowed to have Gravedigger. But if you're going to go to the Kitsap County Fairgrounds like this weekend to watch their monster trucks, they have one that's in all their billboards. It looks exactly like Gravedigger, but it's called Identity Theft.
Like just nodding towards the fact
I
that
don't
they're
know.
just like ripping it off.
The character, if we could think of these as like wrestlers, right? The character is the vehicle's called Identity Theft, and it looks like Gravedigger, and I think that's so great.
Nigerian scam email
Yes.
is going up against them. When you said Gravedigger, and of course we talked about that a lot because you got to drive it, and it's one of the most famous monster trucks out there. And I really do. I don't know the monster truck world well, but growing up, like that was a big part of growing up. Whether we went to the Medina County Fair, or sometimes we go actually to the Cleveland Coliseum and see motocross and monster truck related stuff.
Look at Identity Theft.
That is amazing. Yeah, it's all green. It's black with green and purple.
100% Gravedigger. It's the same colors. It's actually the same body style.
So I love the fact that it's actually acknowledging the fact that it's sort of stealing the identity of Gravedigger. But what if we, like Gravedigger, if you really stop to think about it, such a dark name. It's so dark. What if we gave these trucks nicer names like Caregiver?
Do you want to know the
what if I drove Caregiver?
Do you want to know the backstory on Gravedigger? The guy, Dennis Anderson, who started Gravedigger, he used to do this thing called mud bogging down there on the Outer Banks of North Carolina, and he had this old, like kind of panel van truck thing that he would put these big like tractor tires on because it would get better grip in the mud. And so that was where he started putting these bigger and bigger tires on this thing for this like mud racing thing they would do. And he apparently used to say like to the other competitors, "I'm going to dig your grave. I'm going to dig your grave with my truck," and that became Gravedigger.
Still very aggressive, though.
It's still very aggressive, yeah. And said, "I'm going to give you care."
Identity Theft: The Ride is a
pat
1952 Chevrolet panel van truck owned by Straight Up Racing. It's the truck counterpart, Identity Theft. Both resemble Gravedigger. I just love that they were like, we don't have a Gravedigger for this tour, but we can make one that looks like it, and we're going to call it Identity Theft. That is just...
And this is tomorrow?
I've only seen 1,000 billboards for it, and I don't actually remember.
Listeners, you're buying me one more night at the Comfort
maybe
Inn.
I should cancel my flight back and just stay for the bead party and go to this.
Just to go to Kitsap County Fairgrounds and watch Identity Beads? When do you think, if ever, we'll stop saying that? I mean, is that like Frisiator? Is that for the rest of time? If somebody says the words beads or bees, we're going to be saying that?
Vives and I have been doing that for a long time because I was from
That's
Arrested
new to me.
Development. But the thing is, I know this sounds bananas, but one of the first GIFs I remember that like I fell in love with was that scene, and didn't even have audio attached. It just had the yellow letters, and it was an animated GIF of her saying Bluth. What's her name? What's the daughter's name? Why am I always blanking
not
on
Lucille. Portia.
I kind of feel better.
Well,
that
her
you
real
guys,
name is Portia.
Oh, that's
Lindsay.
Lindsay, Lindsay saying beads and Job's. I just picture Job. Isn't he like in his robe like a brown robe on the couch, just like being a total layabout and just being bees? Anyway,
I never understood the majesty of that clip until this week. Like I knew you liked it,
yeah,
but like it's now become part of
so
my
perfect.
mitochondria as well.
It's so perfect. Well, this has been a really, really fun week.
It has. I want to just say, by the way, a
boys.
big thanks, Andrew, to you, since this is the.
I'm getting the business pad again.
Since this is the Andrew back padding episode of the Thon, I want to say really, really good job with all the tech. Thanks for making this work. John, amazing work, my friend. Thank you for just sweating so many details and making it so that it was established earlier in the week that you're doing a better job than the Minnesota Public Television Network.
That's right. A caller said that.
And they've got hundreds of employees, and they don't make them stay at the Comfort Inn in Kelso, Washington.
No,
so
they are not
you're doing a great job. Thanks, man.
Thank
really
you.
appreciate it. And mostly thanks to all of you out there. If you're hearing this as the podcast, or if you're watching this right now on the live stream, thank you very, very much for your kind of continued support of this thing, whether it's financially, whether it's just being on the stream and commenting with other people, whether it's giving somebody a ride from the airport because you met them through the Stens page, or sending somebody a Christmas card, or telling somebody that you care about them when they're going through like a health crisis. Like, this community of people is really, really remarkable, and that's what makes TBTL work. Otherwise, it's just three guys wearing raglan shirts in a converted garage.
Yeah, we should
without all of you, this becomes actually a diagnosable mental illness.
Yeah, absolutely.
If we don't have you out there. So thank you. If you've been considering, I saw some people in the stream saying they were donating for the first time ever in 10 years. If you've been considering supporting the show and you're getting very, very close to doing so, go ahead and come on over to the sunny side of the street and go to tbtl.net and help us out. We've got lots of great thank you gifts, and we just, like I said, we just want to keep doing this for our job, and it looks like we're going to be able to do that. So thank you very much from the bottom of our hearts. All right, that's going to do it. We'll be back here on Monday with more Imaginary Radio. In the meantime, have a great weekend. Take care of yourselves. Go Mariners, and please remember, no mountain too tall.
And good luck to all.
KK, take two. Oh, Andrew, will you talk and remind me of Gary? And it's freaking me out. Oh, Andrew, you remind me so much that it's scary. And you're walking away, oh, Gary.
Power out.